excited about growing corn. But on the way from the airport in Guadalajara out to our ranch in Arandas, Jalisco, I fell in love with the beautiful rolling hills of blue-green agave, and I said, that's what I want on our ranch. But as I researched it further, I found out that agave is grown in a very, very chemical-intensive way. And I knew that that's bad for the soil, it's bad for the workers that breathe all these toxic chemicals in, it's bad for the environment, and it's even bad for the final consumer.
That's crazy, because I've never heard anybody say something and mention the fact that it's bad for the workers, bad for the people on the farm. I think that's awesome to hear.
You know, that was part of our commitment. One was to take care of the land, make it productive, and provide jobs for our local community.
Hell yeah.
Where there are no industries, nowhere to work. And so this, by keeping the ranch operational, it has allowed us to provide jobs for local families that now are able to stay whole. Before, the men of the family would come to the U.S. to work and suffer all kinds of indignities and dangers just to keep their families fed, to keep them alive. Now, all of our crew are able to go home every night and have dinner with their families, watch their kids growing up, and there is so much loyalty there from our workers. As an example, our foreman, who's been with us, took charge of the ranch 30 years ago when we first started this.
Mm-hmm.
He actually grew up on our ranch working for my grandfather.
Wow.
So there's a lot of loyalty there. And it's the least that we could do to take care of their health and not expose them to all these toxic chemicals that are used so much in the agave industry.
That is incredible. Now, one other thing for a lot of people, you know, that drink tequila, that they don't understand, especially before, they didn't understand the additives and why people added additives. Can you kind of educate us on why people were putting additives in their tequila?
A lot of this happened during the most recent shortage of agave. Because what happened is that 7, 8, 10, 12 years ago, the price of agave was very, very low. And so nobody wanted to plant agave because they weren't going to be able to make a profit. So subsequently then, when that agave would have matured, there was very little out there available. So the price skyrocketed, the price of the ripe agave. But also there was just very, very little agave for the distillers to go out and purchase. So they began to purchase younger and younger and younger agaves. Originally, it used to take 7 to 8 years for an agave to mature.
Yeah.
Now, more recently, and I attribute it to climate change, they can mature in 5 years, 6 max. But a lot of producers were actually going out and buying 3 and 4-year-old agaves because that's all they could find.
Makes sense.
So that's not going to make you a good tequila.
No.
So subsequently, then they had to add artificial additives to try to make it some semblance of tequila. They added glycerin to make it feel smoother on the palate. They added artificial sweeteners and artificial flavors, artificial vanilla, just to make it somewhat like a tequila. And they were getting, you know, obviously it was allowed, and they were getting away with it. But more recently, the consumers are very smart.
Yeah.
They have begun to find out about additives, and now they're out there in mass looking for, when they make a selection, they look for a tequila that does not have additives, because they don't want an artificially created tequila. They want something that's the real thing.
So, talking about the real thing, Alquimia is the real thing. I absolutely love this Blanco tequila. When we first met, it was one of my favorite Blancos I've ever had, and it still is. I admire the fact that you take so much passion in your product and you didn't dumb down your product just to make more. You were able to keep the quality and keep your process the same. I love it, right? And the other thing that I love is now when you look at these reports of all these different tequilas, and when they list most of the tequilas, they list them in alphabetical order, and Alquimia is always at the top. Not only is it at the top because of the alphabetical order, but it is also in there because it's such an amazing tequila. But my question to you is, Alquimia, where did you get the name Alquimia from?
Alquimia means alchemy. which is the ancient art of creating gold from common elements.
Whew, and this is some gold, baby.
We like to say that we created liquid gold.
Love it. Love it.
And you know, your reference to our Blanco, you know, when we set out, we wanted to have a really good Blanco that we could be really especially proud of. Why? Because we wanted it to stand on its own as a sipping tequila.
Oh, yeah.
Which a lot of people feel a Blanco is for making margaritas or chasing with salt and lime. We wanted this to stand on its own as a sipping tequila.
Whew.
The other thing is that this is the base for the whole rest of our line.
Absolutely.
And there is nothing you can do with a barrel for an aged tequila. If you start out with a mediocre Blanco, you're not going to have a great aged tequila. So we needed to have something really good as a Blanco, because this is where everything else is going to come from.
So your Blanco, right? You take this amazing Blanco that I adore, I admire, I love this tequila. And as my palate started growing, I started liking more añejos, extra añejos, and this bad boy, which we'll get into later, super special bottle here, especially if you're a bourbon drinker, you're gonna like, this is some next level stuff. But my question is, you took a great product, you grow it on your own land, you created this amazing Blanco tequila, and then what is the next step? How do you get from the Blanco to the Reposado?
So everything that we don't bottle as a Blanco goes into barrels for aging. And we use, once used Jack Daniel's barrels, not necessarily because they once had Jack Daniel's in them, but because they're very well made. Jack Daniel's owns their own cooperage, and those barrels are very, very well made. Those oak staves are well over an inch thick. We like them already broken in for us, because if we were to go out and purchase brand new oak barrels, we would get a much faster aging change. But brand new oak is too aggressive on the delicate balance in a tequila, and it would really upset that balance, and we would not be as happy with the end result. So we have plenty of time. We can put it into barrels, age it slowly, nice and gradually and gently, and then bottle it when we feel it's ready. But that allows us to be much happier with our end product.
I see why your name is Dr. Tequila on Instagram. That is cool, because I never even knew that. So it's like me being in this industry, having Happy Place Craft Beer, Wine and Spirits for 20 years, carrying your products for over a decade. I didn't even know that. So that is cool to know. And then but what makes your because I love a good reposado, but I prefer añejos now. But your reposado to me beats more añejos. And before we talk about why, I'm gonna need a little sip of that.
Okay.
Let's try out that reposado.
Let's see what it's like. I love that noise.
Right? And you know what I love is a lot of our customers are so used to drinking like a reposado because they're raised with like cazadores, and they're like, oh, we like reposados, and it's hard to tell anybody to buy an añejo. I love to recommend Alquimia Reposado because their mind is going to say, yes, I want it, I like reposados, and they try it, and they're actually falling in love basically with an añejo because it's aged for how many months?
6 to 8 months, but yeah, it does have some of the same tasting notes as the Blanco, the freshly baked agave.
Oh yeah.
And then the oak brings on a very gentle oak influence. So it changes it somewhat, but not too much, so you can still appreciate the Blanco that it came from.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm gonna confess. I haven't had the reposado in a little while. I don't remember it tasting this good, and I knew it was good. So we were talking earlier about how I personally like all of them, and damn, this is fucking delicious.
You know, a lot of what you say rings true, and a lot depends when you're appreciating a fine tequila. Just how much you get out of it depends on the situation. If you're with a good friend like we are today, that makes it even more enjoyable.
I think that definitely takes it up a notch, man. Cheers.
Salud.
Salud. Wow, that is incredible. So good.
So we're very proud of our bottles. As you recall, when we first brought our product to market, when we first came to bring it into your store, the bottle was wider.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a wider bottle, a little bit shorter. And we were very, very proud of that bottle because my daughters and my wife actually designed that bottle.
That's amazing.
And my cousin in Mexico put all the finishing touches on it. They designed the color scheme of our labels. When we were looking for a font for Alquimia, I told my youngest daughter, Paloma, I said, find me a font that looks like pirate writing on a treasure map.
Ooh,
and this is what she found.
Because they found gold, liquid gold.
Liquid gold.
Wow.
So this is, in essence, this is all family run, family operated, family owned. And we have complete control over everything from preparing the soil to planting, maintaining, the harvesting, the production. Everything is done within our family.
That is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, to be able to have that much control to make sure that Sky gets to enjoy this amazing tequila and you beautiful people get to enjoy this amazing tequila, and you have your hand in the whole process from A to Z, from growing the agave, harvesting the agave, and
the production,
bottling it,
even
production.
the bottling. So then a lot of our retailers were telling us, this is taking up too much space. If we have the whole lineup, it takes up this much space on the shelf. And we were sensitive to that, so as soon as we could, we actually redesigned the bottle and made it narrower, but we wanted to keep as much of the original flavor of the original bottle as we could, because we just love that.
I want to get more into your bottles and the design, but one thing that I did want to say that I love the fact that your whole family is involved. Your beautiful daughters, your wife, the whole family's been involved. They've been an inspiration to the whole thing, and the fact that they have your back, and it is so nice, like how your family's so involved, and you have your daughters to take what you built and take it to that next level. And what's amazing is both your daughters they have a passion for it, they love it, and you can still be who you are and show people about the brand, talk about the brand, and build the brand while they help you continue to grow and take what you've created as the world's most gold awarded tequila. Like, how does that make you feel?
You know, it's very gratifying, because when we first started, we actually had no intention to make tequila or sell tequila. We wanted, like I said earlier, make the ranch productive, provide jobs, and then kind of take it from there. And our first 3 crops we sold to other producers. And when our 4th crop was coming around, we saw the effects now building up of our organic program. And we said, this agave is too good to sell to anybody else, because they may not appreciate what we've done. It goes into this huge production and it gets lost. All of our efforts would be lost in this huge production. So we said, let's create our own brand from our own agave and use that as a vehicle to further emphasize the need to return to more natural farming methods, which would benefit everybody.
Now, I want to touch on that. Not only did you go into your areas of Arandas, right? Mm-hmm. Arandas, Mexico, and you started like a revolution out there, where you started doing the organic farming, and all of a sudden now it is just exploded out there, right?
It has. It's taken a little while, because when we first started doing this, people said we were crazy. We were not going to be able to grow agave the way that we wanted, and they said, well, it's not going to work. And then as they began to see the results, and then they started becoming believers. And we said, that's the key. So we used that as our way to turn people on, to expose them and teach them how to do organics on their own ranch, on their own land, with their own crop. And we've designed organic programs for not just for agave, but for crops, for example, avocados in the state of Michoacan, strawberries and citrus in Guanajuato, tomatoes in Sinaloa, and we've always done it for free, all on the understanding that once they learn how to do organics with their land and their crop, they then turn around and teach others how to do it.
That's amazing.
How to do the same thing.
I want to give you a cheers to that, but to do a cheers, we're going to have to get into that añejo.
Absolutely.
And this is one of my absolute, this may be my favorite añejo I've ever had. And to me, like I'm more of an extra añejo guy, but your añejo is just phenomenal. And your añejo competes against most extra añejos. And why don't you tell people why when I drink this, I'm thinking of somebody else's extra añejo, which extra añejo is a lot higher end. Why does yours taste so good?
Well, the reason for that is that once our very first production of our tequila was in 2004, and we didn't start bottling right away. We put it away into barrels. All of that first production went into barrels. We brought in hundreds of barrels from the Jack Daniel's distillery, and we didn't want to bring out our tequila until we had an añejo. So along the way, as we tasted our añejo in the barrels, once it reached a year, it was legally an añejo, and we liked it, and we said, I wonder what this would taste like if we leave it a little bit longer. So we'd leave it longer, and we tasted it, and we liked it even more. And then we left it longer again. And then pretty soon we realized it was almost 3 years. It was almost a 3-year-old añejo, which it would have been an extra añejo. And we said, 2 years and 11 months, we said, we better bottle this now because we're not going to have an añejo. We're going to have to start all over again. And so like I said, we just kept liking it more and more. The nose, the aromas are just
amazing.
Just love this. And this is where the cigar factor starts to come in.
Oh yeah.
You dip your end of the cigar into here, and it just sweetens up the smoke.
Oh yeah. You know, I'm not even a big cigar guy personally. Probably because I'm asthmatic and you know, and I don't know how to smoke a cigar. but when I'm drinking a good añejo, extra añejo, more extra añejos, I love a cigar. It just something about it
complements so well.
What is it? Why is it that with an extra añejo, or your añejo, because it's basically an extra añejo?
Yeah. I think it's one of those dude things.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like you probably wouldn't smoke a cigar with an extra añejo with your wife, but if your best friend was over, yeah, let's smoke a cigar with some of this tequila. But beyond that, the flavors just go so well together. They complement each other so well.
Well, I'm getting thirsty. I need to try some of this. It's been about like 2 weeks since I had it.
So here in the añejo, this has developed quite a bit from its young reposado stage. So now the influence of the oak starts to come in much more prominently, and we start to have notes of caramel and vanilla coming through, and some of the wood notes.
Wood, definitely.
But after all those years in the barrel, that agave character still comes through.
Yep.
So it's not been lost, and that's the danger sometimes of aging tequilas. If you age them either too aggressively or too long, you run the risk of losing the agave character, and then it begins to taste more like a whiskey.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to do that, you might as well buy yourself a nice bottle of whiskey and not an expensive tequila.
But what I do love about your añejo and most extra añejos is I'm also a whiskey drinker, right? I'm also I was actually born at not born, but I started off loving tequila, right? That was my first passion. I loved it. You know, drinking the old school Centenario when it actually was made nicely without additives, and it was super clean and good. And then I was dumbfounded when I tried your tequila. But now that I love whiskey as well, I've noticed that a lot of my whiskey customers are now shifting over because they're learning about amazing tequilas like yours, right? The additive free, and while it's sitting in that barrel, it's giving you that wood notes that you kind of want as a
whiskey lover. You identify with those notes, and that makes an easier introduction to your palate to bring in an aged tequila Whereas whiskey lovers before might have said, no, tequila, I don't do tequila. But this is...
But you can't blame us. We're drinking Jose Cuervo and all this other stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm wrong. I mean, you can have the super high-end stuff and it's decent, right? Like the Reserva de la Familia, it's decent, right? But we grew up drinking like, you know, regular Jose Cuervo because that's what was available. You know, and then we had Patron, which was good. It was an upgrade. But like to have something like that, and what's beautiful is you're local from right here in the 805.
Absolutely. I grew up right here in Ojai, down the road. My wife grew up right here in Ventura on the avenue. My daughters were born here in Ventura and went to school in Oxnard. And we're a product of our beautiful Ventura County.
And what's crazy to like really look at it, like we're a small community here in the 805, right? The beautiful coastline of Southern California. And we have the world's most gold awarded tequila. And I'm sitting here with a legend, man. Cheers, man.
Salud.
Salud. I want to start getting into these two bottles. But before we do that, what other spots outside of Limón y Sal are some of your favorite places that carry your tequila that you think people want to go to and have a drink here in downtown Ventura?
Well, here in downtown Ventura, we're very happy to have it placed at Fluid State, right up the street here on Main Street. We just recently brought it into Rocks and Drams.
Oh, cool.
As a matter of fact, a little bird told me we're going to be talking to them very, very soon.
I think we need to go head over to Rocks and Drams.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Before we do that, can I tell you a little story?
Absolutely.
Okay. So during this time that we were waiting for our añejo to be ready, each time we open a barrel to taste it, the Tequila Regulatory Council doesn't allow us to seal that barrel again. They put a paper seal across the bung cover on each barrel with the date that it was barreled, a lot of other information, the lot number and all kinds of stuff. But once we break that seal to get in to taste it, we can't reseal it. So then we would be left with this barrel of tequila that we couldn't reseal, so we started bottling it in just nondescript generic bottles. And then people in our little community called Agua Negra found out about this, and they started knocking on our door. Hey, we have a wedding coming up or a baptism. Or, can we buy some of those bottles? And we started doing that. But along the way, we found out, let me back up a little bit, education is very, very important in our family.
Okay.
And we always advocate for education. And we saw the opportunity then back in our little community of Agua Negra to really put our philosophy to good use, do something good with it. So what we started to do is all the bottles that we sold, or sometimes we would raffle them off, all that money, we put it together, and all the students there in Agua Negra, they finish primary school, but they have nowhere to go for high school and the university. They would have to go to the city of Arandas, and a lot of them don't have a way to get there every day, there and back. So what we did is we purchased a used school bus for them.
Oh, awesome!
And enough money to pay for a driver for a whole year, and then we kind of kept it going after that. So all of a sudden, all of these students that have always wanted to go to school and continue their education now have a way to get there and continue their education. Not only that, but we were especially proud that a lot of the young ladies now were able to go to school, whereas this is a very, very conservative community, very, very old school. Young ladies are not supposed to go to school. They're supposed to learn how to run the home. Well, we wanted to change that philosophy.
That's
and
incredible.
Give the young ladies an opportunity to, if they wanted to go to school, let's let them be what they can be, live up to their potential. And the very, very first young lady that took advantage of the fact that school was now available to them was our foreman, Luis, his daughter.
Oh, wow.
She went to school, she finished, she got her bachelor's degree, she even had finished her master's degree. She's a master teacher now. and
Incredible.
and she is she came back to our community. She runs a school there for the kids and promotes, and she's probably one of the main factors that has promoted education for the young ladies. And of course, the guys, we want them to be educated too.
That's absolutely incredible that tequila can better the world in ways you could never imagine. Thank you so much for doing that. And thank you being for an amazing human being. And I want to keep this going. I can't wait to get into my favorite tequila. And we're going to roll over to Rocks and Drams.
Let's do it.
And go show them some love and check out the spot and keep this rolling.
Let's go see Mark.
Let's go. Yo, what up? We're over here at Rocks and Drams, and I'm here with Dr. Tequila from Alquimia Tequila, the world's most gold-awarded winning tequila. And we are going to try the Extra Añejo, and we call this one the Super Duper Extra Añejo.
My name is Adolfo Murillo, and I'm an optometrist. And you may ask yourself, what in the world is an optometrist doing making tequila? But if you think about it, it really makes sense, because you see, during the week, I help people to see better, and on the weekends, I help them to see twice as good.
Salud.
Salud.
Let's go tell the rest of the story, brother.
All right.
Adolfo, as much as I love your añejo tequila, I'm excited to drink your Extra Añejo, sit down and actually enjoy it. But before we get started with the tequila, what a beautiful place this is, right?
This is a fantastic place, and it's owned by beautiful people. Mark Valdivia. I just talked to his dad, Adrian, earlier today, and his wife, beautiful wife, putting on the finishing touches to reopen again. And we're very, very honored to have our tequila featured here at the restaurant. Rocks and Drams, beautiful place.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny because I'll talk to a lot of people out here, and they're like, what are a few of your favorite spots of getting cocktails? And like, this is always in that list of the top few places that people go to, and they did a great job over here. And I love the fact that they have this amazing tequila here. Talking about this amazing tequila, I think I need to sip a little bit more of that. So
I think I'm going to have to agree with you.
Yeah.
So let's pour a little bit of this. Uh-oh, that's too much. Is that okay?
Oh, it's never too much.
So our last stop with our tequilas was our añejo,
Yep.
which I mentioned earlier is aged for almost 3 years, and we barely caught it on time because at 3 years it becomes extra añejo.
Yeah.
But because our añejo was so close to being an extra añejo, we needed to leave a good amount of time in between. Otherwise, the two products would be too similar. And
Yeah.
we wanted each one to differentiate itself and have something special to offer at each expression. So as we tasted this, the longer it aged, the more we liked it, until it was actually 6 years old when we decided to go ahead and bottle it. So this is our Alquimia, our 6-year extra añejo. And it also says here something a little bit extra that the other bottles don't have. It says Reserva de Don Adolfo. Now, my name is Adolfo. I use Don Adolfo as my email, but I did not name this after myself. I named this after the person that made this all possible, the real Don Adolfo, my father.
That's amazing.
And he is with us in spirit, and he always will be.
Literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. And this is to honor him. Salud.
You know what's funny? This whole time, I always thought you named it after yourself.
A lot of
I've known
people
you for over a decade and a half. And I thought it was named after yourself. And I was like, that's fine. I mean, that's a lot of people do. But,
Yeah.
you know, that makes me a little bit more like in love with the brand even more. You know, paying homage to your parents and the people that allowed you to make this what it was from your grandfather. You know, it was your grandfather who started the farm, or was it your
Yes,
great-grandfather?
my grandfather
Your
in
grandfather.
1941.
Wow.
And in everything that we do in this particular project, again, we wanted to honor my grandfather in the way that he took care of the land. And also, not only that, but he was a great benefactor to the community. He took care of the people. He taught people how to farm, how to get the most out of their land. He looked after families where the father was not around, maybe in the U.S. working. And if he heard of a family that didn't have a father figure, and they had small children, he would assign them a cow, so that each day they could come and milk their cow and have milk for their children. And that's just one of the many things that he did.
I can see why you started that whole transportation of that bus. I see where you get it from now. You know, you started that bus to take these kids to go get educated, you know, and that story, it's just amazing how, you know, the fruit, what is that? What do they say? The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree or whatever. Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
And you know, we're very, very fortunate that we had folks like my grandparents, my dad, my mom, to teach us these things, and to instill in us the need or the want to be able to do for others.
Absolutely.
And at each stage, I think each of us had a dream, and along with that particular dream was also very tied to that dream was the need or the desire to do for others. As especially if you do well, you share with others and do for the rest. And along the way, we have each tried to do that, each in our own way. My grandfather did it his way. My dad did it by helping people come up to the U.S. and giving them jobs and finding them, getting them situated and helping them save so that they could then go back and do something productive.
That's awesome.
And people, and you know, we feel so fortunate when we go back to our little community of Agua Negra. People they accept us with open arms. And even though I left when I was 4 years old, I still hear stories about my grandparents, about my dad, about my mom, and people appreciate that we have good intentions when we go back and work.
That's amazing. I mean, I think that when you do so much good and you care about the community, and that's how you're able to last a long time, right? People who fake it till they make it, or they don't care about the community, they're not involved. At the end of the day, is those who do for their community, help them out, they succeed, not just financially, but I think mentally and emotionally too, right?
You could just get so much more satisfaction out of what you do. And sometimes it's not even big things. Sometimes it's something very small that you do for someone. Yeah. And when you see the difference that it makes for that person, that really hits.
Well, I'll tell you, one thing that you're doing for me is making some of my favorite tequila, and I love you for it. It's so damn good, and I can't just keep looking at this. I need to take another sip. Such a well-balanced tequila.
Yeah, this is definitely one you want to take your time with. Enjoy it. Enjoy it with good friends, with family. And you don't want to rush this.
I really feel like a lot of my whiskey drinkers, I'm getting them turned on to the extra añejo, and they're just coming back and like looking at me like, what the hell? This is tequila, right? Because there's a big trend that now tequila has taken over whiskey sales and bourbon sales.
Yes.
Because they're finally realizing you can get something this good that tastes, that mimics certain things of a bourbon by being in the barrel, but the way you do it, and the way there's a lot of other companies now that are finally doing it a good, better way, additive free, better quality. But what you do here, this is just to be in my, and you know how many tequilas I've had.
Oh, yeah.
To be in this extra añejo is one of my top 3 extra añejos I've ever had in my life.
Thank you.
So salute to that, brother. This one's interesting. The extra, well, so it's not an extra añejo because there's no such thing, right?
There's only one category of extra añejo.
Yeah. But
we could call this the super duper extra añejo. So this then was bottled at 6 years. And from our very, very first production in 2004, we set aside a number of barrels at one end of the warehouse. And they kind of just sat there, and many times I forgot about those barrels being there, and we were so busy with the rest of the line and bringing it out and promoting it and so forth, that they kind of just sat there almost forgotten. I knew they were there, but our focus was on the rest of the line, the first four. And then one day I was down there and I said, this tequila has been in those barrels. By this time it was 14 years since 2004, the very first production. And I said, let's open one up and see what it tastes like. So we opened up a barrel, pumped out some of the tequila, and I tasted it right out of the barrel. And it was just an explosion of flavors in my mouth. I just couldn't believe it. And it was in the barrel, it was at about 100 proof.
Yeah.
And so normally the rest of our line is at 80 proof, and most tequilas are bottled at 80 proof. A few are now starting to come up with higher proof tequilas. But this one at 100 proof and with so much flavor, I said, let's not dilute this to 80 proof. Let's bottle it right out of the barrel, just the way it is now, because I don't want to water down or dilute all this flavor that's in here. Now, during the 14 years, we lost a lot of product to evaporation. That's the angel share.
Angel share.
And we have very happy angels in Aranda, Jalisco. And this was part of the reason why. Some of those barrels were half full, some were practically dry.
Can you explain a little bit more about angel share for those who don't understand what angel share is?
So when we fill our barrels, they're stacked up almost like a pyramidal shape, and temperatures change throughout from diurnal changes from morning to evening, and then from season to season. And each time that the temperature changes, the temperature of the tequila changes as well, and it'll either expand or contract. And so each day as it expands, some of this tequila will go into the fibers of the interior of the oak, and then it comes back out. And then it does that repeatedly. But along with that, some of it does escape between the oak staves that form the barrel. And so you start to get a little bit of evaporation of your product over time. So some product does escape. The longer you leave it in the barrel, the more product you're going to lose. And so like I said, we lost a lot of product to evaporation.
And then along with evaporation, so what ends up happening is the ABV, the proof, goes up.
It can go up because a lot of what does evaporate is water and some of the other components, and which leaves the alcohol volume to kind of increase over time. And so we lost a lot of product to evaporation, but the trade-off for us was the fact that all of the essential oils and all of those flavors became more concentrated. And so that is why when you drink some of this tequila, your very first sip, even though it's a small one, and you just cannot believe all the flavors that are in there. And then even after you go ahead and ingest it, the flavor just keeps going on and on and on, and you're perceiving all of these different flavors in your profile, and that is all of the flavor profile that's in the tequila, which is, most of it is a direct result of what was in the agave already, but its interaction with the wood and the oak that brought out all these subtleties, and you can just sit there and name all of these flavors that come to mind as it.
I'm looking forward to you taking me through that whole, tasting experience. But before we jump into that, I want you to tell us, before we start sipping this, I want you to tell the drinker, when they go home and they buy one of these bottles, I want you to take them through like a virtual tasting right now.
So when you go home with one of our bottles, which we would be very honored to have for you to have in your home bar, we would love for you to get the full tasting experience of our tequila. And when you first pour yourself some of our tequila, the first part of it, first aspect is the visual aspect. And if you swirl it, you'll notice that if there's lights around, it'll shimmer, it'll reflect those lights just beautifully. Also, when it's still, it should be very, very nice and transparent. The next part of the visual aspect is the legs or the body. And if you tilt your glass and then bring it back, you'll notice that a good part of the tequila clings to, you have a film that clings to the side of the glass, and then it kind of collects and comes back down. That's the legs or the body of the tequila. That's made up of the essential oils in the tequila. And usually the more it ages and the more it becomes concentrated, the more you notice the legs. They become more and more noticeable. Then we go to the aromas, and the nose of the tequila is a very, very important part of the whole tasting experience.
Absolutely.
In fact, your olfactory system is a very, very big part of taste. And so when you appreciate the nose, you'll notice, first of all, the alcohol is not overly aggressive, which it should not be in a well-made tequila. It should be very, very subtle. It's there, you'll definitely notice it. But then you start to notice all of these components, like caramel.
Yeah.
Caramel, that's probably the first
one.
up.
Yep, absolutely.
Caramel, some vanilla.
Yep.
Some cinnamon.
Absolutely.
Maybe some dark spices. And all kinds of nuances that, and people, I love to have people give me their tasting notes or the notes from the aromas, because some people are so good at picking out very, very subtle flavors or aromas. And once they mention it, then you say, yes, it is there.
Yeah.
I do notice it. So then our first taste, we'll always ask that you make it a very, very small amount so you don't shock your palate. And the first one, we call it El Beso del Tequila, or the Kiss of Tequila.
Kiss of Tequila.
You just barely, you wet your lips with it and just a little bit over your palate.
Because also when you're drinking tequila, the problem is when people take that first shot, they're not prepared. Their mouth is shocked.
Absolutely.
Right? So when you take that first little beso, that first little kiss, it just kind of, it gets your palate ready for what you're about to drink.
Yeah, just very, very gently.
Is it kind of like, because it's also kind of burns the certain taste buds, so that, or what exactly is that?
I think it just prepares your taste buds for what's coming,
okay,
or what's it's going to come. Just to kind of get it acclimated to what it's gonna be like. So then subsequent sips, also small ones, you don't want to gulp it down, because you're actually wasting a good tequila.
Tequila, yeah.
You want to really get as much out of it as you can. Enjoy it, sip it, take your time with it, and just to enjoy the actual flavors in it. Enjoy the finish. Let a good amount of time go between your sips, so that you can really fully appreciate everything that's in this tequila.
Oh yeah. Ooh, I appreciate this tequila. And thanks for putting in the hard work and making sure that we get this type of tequila. Now, like I said before, earlier in the podcast, it's just so amazing that you did this so long ago, when nobody was even thinking of this, right? Like the detail that you put in your tequila, it's just a blessing to have this for us. Now, I want to talk about a story about a barrel we have sitting there. We'll get into that after we try the extra añejo, the 14 year, correct?
14 years.
Yeah. So I want to try the 14 year, and afterwards I want to share a little bit about what we have going.
Okay, we'll do that.
In Mexico.
Yes. Very special story, so stay tuned.
Cheers, brother. Wow. So much flavor.
Oh, I tell you.
This is incredible. I've had it before, but I don't remember it being this good.
Yeah, I think the situation, you might have had it, kind of a hurried situation or not really taking your time with it.
And I remember I really liked it, but I fucking love it. And that is incredible. There's so much flavor. And honestly, like when it's 50 proof, like you normally really feel it. I don't really.
No, there's so much flavor.
The flavor disguises it. It blends well.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you left it at. What's funny? So we have that special barrel over there.
Yeah.
Sitting in Mexico. I remember calling you and saying, Adolfo, my wife's pregnant. We're about to have a kid. Is there any way possible you can put a barrel away from me? So by the time he turns 21, we have a barrel, 21-year aged tequila.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Put the tequila in the barrel.
That's incredible. So after trying this at 14 years, the thing is I'm dumbfounded that after 14 years, it tastes this good. Normally you would think that it would be unbalanced. It'd be too much wood.
Overpowered by the wood, yeah.
And then now I really see your decision on using used
barrels.
Barrels that have been used.
This would be nothing like this if we had used new oak. It would have thrown it completely off kilter.
I've tried one other tequila that was 10 years old, and oh my God, it was just like I was chewing on wood.
Yeah.
The thing is the caramel shines through, the vanilla still shines through. There are other spice notes that shine through, and the heat with it is still like full balance.
Yeah, on the nose even, you would never know that it's 25% more alcohol.
Holy shit. Going back to everything that you guys do as a company, I think I feel like you're setting a standard. You are the standard that other people have to look at and see what are they doing in their production, in their tequila, or in any product that you do. And it's just amazing to see the results of every single one. And I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier. If you don't start out with a great product from the beginning, no matter what you do to it.
Nothing you can do with a barrel to make a great tequila out of a mediocre blanco. It's all based on the blanco. And the blanco, the quality of the tequila, of a blanco especially, that all goes back to the quality of your agave. How you grew it, how you maintained it, and after that, how you cook it and everything else. But to me, most importantly, it's got to start with the agave. Harvesting it at peak ripeness. Again, no hurry. You wait till the agave is ripe. We let the agave tell us when it's ready.
Respect.
Yeah, we don't go out there and decide let's go ahead and cut this field down.
Because we need more tequila.
Yeah.
Hey, if we run out, we got to run out. We got to run out for a little bit.
Yeah, we need to say that in the. Or are we saying it now?
We're saying it.
Oh, okay.
We're all talking.
Yeah, I've heard it said that a good tequila is born in the distillery.
Mm-hmm.
To me, a great tequila is born in the agave fields.
Ooh, I like that.
It goes back to how you prepare the soil, how you plant your agaves, how you treat the soil to sustain your agaves. Everything as to how you raise your agaves. And then when you're ready to harvest, again, you let the agaves tell you when it's ready.
You know what's crazy? Like with the amount of knowledge that you have about these products, I'm personally shocked. I mean, as much as you like to share, I feel like you should be the one guy. I mean, if I'm launching a tequila, obviously when I was looking at launching tequila, I called you first and I said, I want you in on it. Let's work on something together, right? But obviously a lot of things have happened and we weren't able to do that at that time.
Yeah.
But I feel like you should be the #1 consultant for tequila in the industry. Like people should be calling you to say, hey, like what can I do to make a better tequila?
We do get calls sometimes a bit frequently. People that want us to know if we will produce tequila for them as a private label or a white label, or to, again, just help them get started in starting their own tequila brand. In fact, we were dealing with a company from Israel a few months back that they had just started planting agave in Israel. And they came to us for us to teach them basically how to grow agave. And they actually wanted me to fly out there. Obviously, with Middle Eastern features, I probably wouldn't do well in Israel. So I declined to go, but I did give them some good information on how to get their project going. Yeah, that
See,
is
you know,
possible.
that's what I love. You're so giving. Like somebody else is making another product to compete in a way, compete with yours. You're still giving the information, right? You're still helping.
Well, there's an ultimate purpose to that. Anytime I consult people, and very informally, I don't think I've ever charged anybody for sharing our experiences, but I always steer them towards organic.
Yes.
Because that's part of why we're doing all of this, is to convert more farmland to organics. That's the reason we're even making tequila. This is our vehicle to do that. So when somebody approaches me about learning how to grow agave or starting their own brand, I always take it back to, you got to do this organically. If you want.
And now, if my wife says, "Hey, I'm drinking too much," or "You drank too much, you need to cut it," I'm saying, "I'm drinking organic. It's good for me, babe." Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
And you're helping us to promote this need for returning to natural farming methods.
We're making changes in this world by drinking an amazing tequila.
Absolutely.
That tastes.
You're part of the team.
Been part of the team. I absolutely love it. Now, where can people get a hold of you or find you? Like, where can they find like your Instagram, your social media?
We're on Instagram, Alquimia Tequila. We're on Facebook, Tequila Alquimia, just to change it up. If they want our direct contact information, our webpage, alquimiatequila.com. And we monitor our emails especially. So if somebody has something very concrete to talk to us about, we would always monitor our emails, and we make every effort to answer anybody that wants to contact us about our tequila. And I figure if somebody takes the time to look for us and contact us with a question or asking for more information, the least we can do is answer their questions.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I'm really appreciative of you and what you've done. You've educated me on tequila, being the tequila guy, right, in the local area, having the #1 tequila shop in Ventura County, and you coming to me and making me more knowledgeable, sharing this information from the last 15 years of our friendship, bringing your amazing tequila in and showing us what other tequilas need to strive to become or strive to be. I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing for the world of tequila, and appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, brother. You know, that means so much to me, especially coming from the owner of the #1 tequila shop in Ventura County. Happy place. A happy place right there on the 118 in Satacoy. That really means a lot to me. And definitely my family and I appreciate all of the support that you've given us and our brand over so many years. That really...
You know what? It runs both ways, because not only did we support you, but the amount of business that your brand, because your brand is way more like people who love tequila looking for it. They're always asking, calling, hey, we got referred over from Adolfo. He said, this is one of our spots we can get it from. So thank you for that. It's mutual. And it's just amazing that we're both able to build a local 805 entrepreneurs right here from Ventura County, to be able to build our businesses together in partnership and to have great service. Like, I can call you, text you in the middle of the night, and like, Hey, I really need tequila tomorrow. I got a guy who wants a case or 2 cases. Next morning, you're in there delivering it yourself. So thank you for the service. Thank you for this amazing tequila. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being on Sippin' with Sky. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sipping with Sky. Thank you, Sky Center. Your entire family, your beautiful family, and it's great for me to see the support that you have on the part of your family. It really means a lot, because that's what has helped me to do what I do. Without my family and their support, I would never be able to do any of this. So I know that you and I are in the same spot in that regard.
Hell yeah. Salud.
Salud.
Cheers. Thank you.
Salud, everyone. So again, thank you, Sky, my brother, for inviting me on your podcast. I had a wonderful time sharing tequila with you and talking about our story. I appreciate the opportunity to share our story with everyone. And I would just like to conclude with one thing. I mentioned earlier about dreams. And 30 years ago, my family and I were living what we felt then was the American dream. I had my private practice. I'm an optometrist, by the way. I had my private practice going. It was starting to do well. My wife was teaching at the local high school. We had our 2 daughters, and we had just purchased our dream home, and life was good. And then all of a sudden we get this news that because my grandparents had passed away, that the ranch was going to be sold back in Mexico. And my wife said, don't sell it. If you sell it, you're going to be getting rid of all of your family history, your family origins. This is where you're all from. If you sell it, you're not going to have any of that.
I love the support from the wife, and
Oh, yeah.
she's the one bringing it up. Like she's amazing. And the crazy part is so many of my employees, my friends, and my partner Nick with Circle Media Group, who we create the content with, actually went to school under your wife, which is cool.
We love being around town and running into her old students from way back, or sometimes her students' kids, or even, I think she even has had some of her students' grandchildren in her classes. And she's retired now, but she loves keeping in touch with her students. So anyway, so we talked my dad into keeping the ranch, and he did so on the condition that we would do something productive with it, and to do good things with it. We somewhere along the line we found out that it wasn't the American dream that we were living. That dreams are universal. We found out that dreams transcend generations. Dreams transcend continents. Dreams are not bound by imaginary lines called borders, that you can dream in any language. And all we ask is to be able to dream, and we ask for the opportunity to work hard and make our dreams a reality. And this has been our dream.
Salud.
So,
Beautiful. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to Sippin' with Sky. Please don't forget to like, comment, share it with a friend, and subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Sippin' with Sky. Cheers! We'll see you on the next one.